We're going to read The Great Gatsby aloud. I don't know how much of it we're going to read aloud, but we're going to start that way. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Chapter 1. Chapter 1, unfortunately, is a little goofy, as often happens with books. They spend a little bit of time giving you the background information. English teachers like to call it exposition, and sometimes it's more boring than when the story gets going. In modern movies and books, of course, they start with a car chase or a crash or something. They start with something really exciting. But the older books started with exposition, and this one starts with some exposition. Chapter 1. In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since.
Whenever you feel like criticizing anyone,
He told me,
just remember that all the people in this world haven't had the advantages that you've had.
he didn't say any more, but we've always been unusually communicative in a reserved way, and I understood what he meant a great deal more than that. In consequence, I'm inclined to reserve all judgments, a habit that has opened up many curious natures to me, and also made me the victim of not a few veteran bores. The abnormal mind is quick to detect and attach itself to this quality when it appears in a normal person. And so it came about in college. I'm going to pause that person, okay? If I can find them. Where'd they go? Well, they're gone anyway. So back to here. Okay. So anyway, so he said that his dad told him to not criticize people because maybe they didn't grow up rich like you did. And then he says that he doesn't judge people. Right? So he lets them just say whatever they want, and so people talk to him. The abnormal mind is quick to detect and attach itself to this quality when it appears in a normal person. And so it came about that in college, I was unjustly accused of being a politician because I was privy to the secret griefs of wild, unknown men. I'm going to pause mute the screen, okay? You guys at home are kind of on your own. I've got to mute the screen. Goodbye. There you go. I forgot my spot. I was privy to the secret griefs of wild, unknown men. Most of the confidences were unsought. I feigned sleep, preoccupation, or a hostile levity when I realized by some unmistakable sign that an intimate revelation was quivering on the horizon. For the intimate revelations of young men, or at least the terms in which they express themselves, are usually plagiaristic and marred by obvious suppressions. Reserving judgments is a matter of infinite hope. I'm still a little afraid of missing something if I forget that, as my father snobbishly suggested, and I snobbishly repeat. A sense of the fundamental decency is parceled out unequally at birth. So he goes on here to talk about the fact that he doesn't make judgments, and that's why people always share their secrets with him. And then at the end, he talks snobbishly about how, the rich people got more of something than the other people did. He's snobbish about it. And after boasting this way of my tolerance, I come to the admission that it has a limit. Conduct may be founded on the hard rock or the wet marshes, but after a certain point, I don't care what it's founded on. When I came back from the East last autumn, I felt that I wanted the world to be in uniform and in a sort of moral attention forever. I wanted no more riotous excursions with privileged glimpses into the human heart. Only Gatsby, the man who gives the name to this book, was exempt from my reaction. Gatsby, who represented everything for which I have an unaffected scorn. If personality is an unbroken series of successful gestures, then there was something gorgeous about him, some heightened sensitivity to the promises of life, as if he were related to one of those intricate machines that register earthquakes 10,000 miles away. This responsiveness has nothing to do with that flabby impressionability which is dignified under the name of the creative temperament. It was an extraordinary gift of hope, of romantic readiness, such as I have never found in any other person, and which is not likely I shall ever find again. No, Gatsby turned out all right at the end. It is what preyed on Gatsby, what foul dust floated in the wake of his dreams that temporarily closed out my interest in the abortive sorrows and short-winded relations of men. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, in that whole thing, he talks about wanting the world to be in uniform and a sort of moral attention after he comes back from the East. By the way, we're in the East, okay? New York, New Jersey, Connecticut is considered the East, and he came from like Ohio or something. When he came out East, would you say New York has more going on than Ohio? All right, so he comes out, there's more going on, it's kind of crazy. When he goes home, he wants the world to be quiet again, in uniform, at a sort of moral attention. He didn't want any more riotous excursions. Anybody studied the 1920s at all? See what was happening in America in the 1920s? None yet? Okay, they'd gotten over one of the world wars and everybody was going crazy. They made alcohol illegal, which they found out didn't work because you could make alcohol in a bathtub. And so people were drinking like crazy and people were buying bootleg booze and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And women were even dancing. Oh my God. And wearing short dresses. Okay, let's pause right there and go back to I won't pause the screencast. Right, let's go back to the group work. Analyze the character Nick Carraway. He's the main character who's doing the narrating right now. Okay, we don't have Gatsby telling the story. We have Nick telling the story. Analyze the character Nick Carraway. What is the advice Nick's father has given him that he's been turning over in his mind? Remember, he talks about not judging people because they might not have been born rich.
Yeah.
And how does it affect him when Nick says reserving judgment is a matter of infinite hope? How's it ironic? Because he ends up judging people anyway, right? Why does the narrator want the world to be at moral attention? He talks about how crazy it was in New York, and he wants to go back to Ohio. And now he's getting to a place where life is beginning all over again with the summer. That's a metaphor, isn't it, right? Life beginning again with the summer. That's when the fruits and the birds and the bees and everything grows. Okay, so see if you can type into your document, and I'll go around and see how people are doing.